What up? Welcome back. Golden Era here on YouTube. We're working our way to modern day 23-24. This is episode 11, season recap for 2028-29 NBA season. We'll jump in as we always do with the NBA draft. This is a class that's full of elite big men after years of pretty good guards and not a lot of great big men entering the league this year. Certainly 28 is going to be different. It's Alexander Sangalia, Devin Anderson, Xavier Carter, the three big men, and it's Ibrahim Falk, maybe the best of the bunch. He's more of a 4-5 type of player, but it's a year in which the post game is going to get some love. It's going to be the Hawks jumping up to from 8 to number 1. The Lakers get in the top 3. They go from 9 to number 3. The Sonics end up at number 2, and the Wizards go from 6 to number 4, with the Kings rounding out our top 5. Ibrahim Falk goes number 1 to the Atlanta Hawks. Alexander Sangalia goes number 2 to the Seattle Sonics. And the Lakers take Xavier Carter 3, Devin Anderson at number 4. Jair doing a good wing ends up going number 5. Some other notable names in there. Carlos Fernandez all the way at 18 to the San Antonio Spurs. He'll have an all-star game or two by the end of his career, so a good pick there. Off-season. Going to be plenty of activity because right off the bat, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they tell the Celtics, we're not going to return to Boston when our contracts expire next season, and Booker is looking to depart. Minnesota, also in the same boat. He went in there, went to pair with Karl Anthony Towns, D'Lo. He says he doesn't want to do it anymore. Jason Tatum ends up getting dealt to Orlando in a 3-team deal. The Magic receive Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics. The Lakers, they want a big man, and a big man that can help them win now, late in Anthony Davis's career. They get Wendell Carter Jr. from the Magic, and the Celtics, you saw that on the lottery, they end up getting Xavier Carter. The number 3 overall pick, easily the best player in terms of the prospects coming to the Celtics, but they also get a 30 and 32 and a 31 swap from Orlando, so a massive deal for Boston as they start their rebuild. Meanwhile, Devin Booker, he heads to Houston for Sekou Doumbouya, Matisse Thybulle, and a couple of firsts. And then Jaylen Brown is dealt to Utah. Jonathan Malheur ends up going to Boston. He was the number 8 overall pick, so a huge get for the Celtics to get Xavier Carter, the number 3 pick, and Jonathan Malheur, all to offset and offload their 2 stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're not going to be the only ones that end up getting moved. Terrence Clarke, he's going to depart from Washington. He heads to Chicago in a signing trade. The Warriors with a really good offseason. They had Jalen Suggs via signing trade and Shane Ruffin, restricted free agent. This ends up being a really bad move for Indiana. They let him walk in restricted free agency to the Warriors. But other than that, a lot of re-signing. The Suggs deal for the Warriors, it's a bit of a 3-guard lineup that they're trying with Javon Roll, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Suggs. They struggle with it. It ends up kind of being their downfall in this little stretch of time. Let's move to the regular season. Some big stars. James Wiseman tears his Achilles with the Warriors. That all but ends their championship hopes. Jason Tatum tears his ACL with the Orlando Magic on the last year of his contract. So there's a lot of question marks as if he's even going to return to Orlando. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo on this stacked Dallas Mavericks team, he breaks his ankle and really derails their chances. And the Clippers, they go all in for Karl Anthony Towns. They send Bradley Beal in first and 29, 31, and a 32 swap. This ends up being disastrous, though, as Karl Anthony Towns tears his Achilles late in the season, and the Clippers limp into the playoffs. It's an all-in move, probably too soon in the D'Angelo Ion era for the Clippers to go after and get Karl Anthony Towns, who at this point is past 30 years old. Let's move to our awards, where Jaylen Justice ends up as the NBA MVP. Defensive Player of the Year is Matisse Thybulle. Kyler Duhon ends up as the most improved, and Ibrahim Falk, the first pick, goes to Rookie of the Year. Your All-NBA teams, the big names. Jaylen Justice, kind of starting his taking over of the NBA. He gets the MVP. Now he's going to be first-team All-NBA. Joins Jonathan Kuminga. We talked about him on his way up. Karl Anthony Towns still gets a first-team All-NBA nod. Jason Sanders, Trey Hunter, Ezekiel Mono, Sasha Kasparov. You're seeing all new names now as this next generation of the NBA is starting to take over. From a standing standpoint, it's the Pistons with the best record in basketball, 65 wins, better than the Mavericks, who have 61, despite that injury to Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Warriors, they pull out 58 wins, and your defending champion Grizzlies end up with 53 wins. Let's move to the NBA playoffs, where 6 first-round games go to the full 5 games, 5 upsets, and suddenly now in 2029, you're getting calls to make the first round 7 games again. The Thunder, they beat the Mavs. Again, the Mavericks just cannot get right in the first round. The Thunder, despite all of these struggles that they had, personality and chemistry-wise, they still win. The Rockets defeat the Warriors. They just beat up that 3-guard lineup. Phoenix Jones, Cameron Kabongo on this team with the arrival of Devin Booker. Booker takes them all the way, a stunning upset over the New Orleans Pelicans to get to the NBA Finals and take on NBA MVP Jaylen Justice. The Raptors, meanwhile, just one loss on their pathway to the NBA Finals. When we get there, it is all Jaylen Justice. 58 points, 15 boards, 9 assists in Game 1. He joined Stephen Curry as the only players in NBA history with multiple 50-point games in the same NBA Finals. He is absolutely dominant. 52 in the closeout, 4-point win. His 58 in Game 1, the most in Game 1 history in NBA Finals, and just an absolutely dominant performance. They go 15-1. They win the championship, and a new king appears to be coming for the NBA by 2029. Jaylen Justice, Toronto Raptors are NBA champs.